This is Dr. Chris's radio horror program here at 91.3 FM, WCW. If you're not catching this recorded interview live when it plays, hopefully you're catching it on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Tonight on the show, we have a guest on that I jumped at a chance to have on the show because I've given him so much money from watching all of his movies in theaters. No, but I'm a huge fan of his writing work. He's a lesser-known director, but definitely a bigger producer, and definitely a bigger Hollywood horror screenwriter, as he has written several of the Final Destination movies, which is a beloved film franchise. And tonight he's on to talk about his own movie, Don't Look Back, which is currently in post-production. We have with us Jeffrey Reddick.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good. Is that like the best intro you've ever gotten?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I gotta write this guy a check now.
All right, there you go. Yeah. So how much was a movie in 2000? All right, that was 10. So that's $7 you owe me. And then 2002. Oh, I didn't see that one in theaters, but I bought the DVD. Oh, I did see Final Destination 3 in theaters. Yep, I saw the Final Destination. By the way, what the fuck? Are people afraid of the number 4? You ever notice that movies like skip like after 3, they just go right into titles?
They jump right into it. They just go, number 4, and then, but they did call. I think they were like, this is going to be the Final Destination, dun dun dun.
Right, like the final chapter of Friday the 13th, right?
Absolutely.
You can't stop Final Destination. You can't stop Final Destination because death is always going to keep going after people. I mean, people have to die. This year is the worst of them all.
Yes, I think the next one should just be Final Destination 2020.
Oh, jeez. I know that they're working on another one or something like that, or they were at least. So I guarantee I'm waiting for the next horror movie to include COVID into a plot line.
Yeah, no, they were definitely had one in development before COVID hit, and now the business is kind of shut down.
Yeah.
Till sometime next year probably. So there will be another the finalist destination.
The finalist destination. I like that. You're on to talk about a movie coming out in 2 weeks.
Ever.
Yes, definitely. You're on to talk about a movie coming out in about a week or so. 10, 11 days roughly. When a young woman overcoming her traumatic past is among several witnesses
16th, so not that
who see a man fatally assaulted and don't intervene. They find themselves targeted by someone or something out for revenge. Dun dun dun. That definitely sounds like Final Destination writing to me.
You know, it those kind of themes always kind of find themselves in my work. Those kind of kind of karmic kind of things, and but this is a lot different than Final Destination. Like what I did with this film was really set up a story where you're not sure if there's a killer after them or if it's karma or if the lead character's imagining everything. So it's more of a mystery horror film than a straight up horror film. So like, because we don't know who or what the killer is, like I couldn't have any really visceral death scenes because it would have given away the mystery of it. So you catch a lot of people after they've been killed. You do see some deaths, but just because of the nature of the story, we couldn't, show too much of the killings because it would give it something away one way or the other, and I didn't want to cheat the audience. So it was definitely a fun kind of fine line to walk with this film.
Do you have an obsession with death?
You know what? People ask me that, and I say I don't, but
liar.
I'm sure right about it.
I think you and your psychologist need to have a conversation before you re-answer that question, sir.
I think Dr. Freud would tell me that I was not telling the truth, or at least he was in some kind of denial, because I sure write about it a lot. I'm not afraid of dying. I don't want to die too young though. Like I don't think anybody does. Like my mom lived to be 97. I'm like, I want to live to be 97 at least.
So you can continue killing people off. I understand.
Yeah, on film, I have to always clarify on film that I love killing people on film.
And this is like the third project, but the first one that I'm aware of that you wrote and direct. You've been pretty much in the writer producer role for a number of years.
Yes, yeah, this is the first feature I've directed. So I'm really excited. It's funny. I've been in the business for so long. I'm really excited, but I'm also very nervous.
20 years.
Yeah, it's been a, it's because it's different when you direct something because, the buck stops with you. And, I could talk about any number of things when I've written something that somebody else directed. But yeah, when you direct it, it's like it's all on you. So succeed or fail, I'm not going to pass the buck on anybody else because I made my decisions on it. I'm really happy with the movie too, but you do, yeah, your name's on that puppy in a much bigger way than just writing it. And then you can be like, well, the director changed everything, or the studio did all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, you're the director now, so you gotta own it all. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the movie coming out, and I'm hoping the fans will enjoy it.
Before Final Destination in 2000, what were you doing? Because your credits are only you only start there.
I was working at New Line Cinema.
Ooh.
I started working there. Yeah, I went to New York to study acting, so I went out to New York to be an actor. But the non-traditional casting was not a thing back in the early '90s. And my agent literally told me, she said, you're kind of like an ethnic Michael J. Fox, and I don't know what to do with you. So since you don't rap or play basketball, I just don't know how to cast you.
Oh my god.
Because yeah, well, she was honest at least. So so yeah, I worked at New Line Cinema. I started there when I was 19 and worked there until I sold the story for the second. Like, I stayed there when they bought Final Destination, was there through the whole process, was there when it came out, sold the story for one, and then finally my boss is like, Jeff, we love you, but dude, come on, you just sold your second, you created a franchise. Go out now into the world and be a real writer instead of working here and writing on the side. So I just love the company so much. That especially the old New Line with Bob Shea running everything, and when Mike DeLuca was there, and it was just such a wonderful creative place to be. And I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan, so being part of the house that Freddie built was just a dream for me. And I would have probably stayed if they hadn't finally been like, dude, come on. You've got a successful franchise. You don't have to, you can just go out now and just do this full time.
Did while you were at New Line, did you ever work on were you one of the names in the Freddy vs. Jason book that just came out?
I wasn't. Oh, I don't know if I probably am not. In
It's
the
like
book
the
because
Heidi
they.
Fleiss of horror movies. No.
Oh,
Stories.
it is.
Well, the book. You know how Heidi Fleiss put out that book that was like a tell-all of every person she slept with.
Yeah.
So they put out this tell-all book called Clash of the Titans, which basically named every single frickin' person involved with the development of Freddy vs. Jason from like 1993 until the film finally was made.
That I have to look at that because the funny thing is I did actually write a pitch for that.
Ah, see, I don't. Yeah,
It's
that's why I'm like, I think your name was mentioned in that book.
But there was a Jeff Katz, who's a friend of mine, who kind of has a very similar story about how he got to working at New Line as me. So they may have, because I know he did a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash
Right, he did the
pitch.
comic book. Yeah.
Yeah, he did the comic book, but my name should be in that book, damn it, because I had a really good pitch, but they were like, it's too horror. Like, it's Freddy versus Jason. It should be horror.
There's one person who's obviously synonymous with your most famous film franchise, the Final Destination. That's Tony Todd, because he's been in
Tony
most of them.
Todd, yeah. Sorry, I knew you were going to say him. I love him. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Tony Todd, yeah, but he was absent for a couple of them, which was like, no, this movie sucks because Tony's not in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what the studios. That's exactly what the fans say with the studios.
Yeah,
Um,
I said
yeah,
that out loud. I remember saying that.
yeah. He's just in the DNA of that franchise. So, um, yeah, they were. That's why I love Part Five so much. Is they not only had him in it, but he had he didn't just kind of show up and for a couple of scenes. He was in it for a lot more. So, yeah, I love Tony Todd.
The film that I pointed out to you before we started was Tamara, which is a lot of fun. I love that movie. I don't think it gets as much attention as it should.
You know what? I would agree with you on that. I mean, it was an interesting film because originally Lionsgate was going to put it out theatrically, and we had some producers come on, and they were going to make it at a bigger budget than what they ended up making it as. So they ended up having to cut out some of the violence and the sex and kind of tone it down. So you know, I always joke it's almost like the PG version of an R-rated film that I wrote. But it's really I actually, when I look back over my filmography, like that's I think one of my favorites, because it has all, I wrote that to be because I love Carrie, so it's obviously a nod of the hat to Carrie. But I'm always like, oh, I hate you have to wait till the last 30 minutes of Carrie for her to kill everybody. So I was like, I want to come up with a kind of a bullying story, but have the victim come back earlier and just really mess with people. So I just wrote a fun movie with everything in it that I wanted to see, like sexy villainous kicking ass, two jocks like, forced to. It was a lot more graphic in the script, their revenge and, dealing with all kinds of teen issues like bulimia and suicide and stuff like that. I wanted to throw everything in there. And I think the director did a really good job, and I loved our cast on that. And it's one of my favorites. Like, I always love watching that film.
It kind of predates, I think, Jennifer's Body, which has that similar kind of like, hot girl, bad girl vibe to it, with supernatural elements too.
Yeah. That was the Jennifer's Body. I thought that was a good movie. I think that's another one that's underappreciated as well. But I have a real soft spot. Tamara's found a really big fan base, and there's just all kinds of rights issues with the project, or I would have totally done a sequel. Because I just love the cast so much too, and I think there's so much more you could do with that character. But it's one of those issues with typical Hollywood drama sometimes, where some people are great and some people aren't, and so then the rights get tangled up and you can't get them, and it's like, damn it.
What have you been up to during the unfortunate pandemic?
I've been working, which is certainly a godsend considering what's going on in the world. On a personal level, trying not to let all the suffering in the world stress me out more than it normally does. I just, I've spent a lot of time worrying about just everybody. I just hate that the world's going through this right now. But, I definitely have been writing, which has given me solace. I'm working on 2 animated series for Netflix, which is very fun. It's complete shift of gears for me.
You're working on Yusaki Yojimbo?
Oh yeah, that's the one that they announced. It's a spinoff, but it's with the blessing of Stan. Like, he's on the creative team and is approving everything we're doing. So that has been so much fun.
Wow, that's awesome. I think Yusaki's only ever been animated in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. Honestly, every iteration of the Turtles cartoon, Yusaki Yojimbo has made an appearance.
Well, it's such a well regarded classic comic book. It's really exciting to be working on it. And again, I keep having to say it's a spinoff because I don't want people thinking it's a straight up adaptation. But again, we have Stan's approval on everything, and he's guiding everything. So we are not doing anything that will get the hairs on the fans' backs up in a hackle. So that's really exciting. I'm really excited for that one. And then the other one's going to be coming out. They'll announce that one pretty soon, but it's kind of in the fairy tale world, which is really interesting. So that one has a little bit more darkness to it than Usagi does. But they're both. I think they're coming. I think that it'll take a while for them to come out. I don't know if they've announced when they're coming out.
No, I think they've just been announced. That's it. And I know you can't talk about it really because that whole NDA thing and stuff. Yeah. So, but that's cool. I was like, ooh, he worked in Yusaki Yojimbo. Really
awesome to work
on. Which Yusaki Yojimbo, for anyone who doesn't know, means Samurai Rabbit.
Yes, and it's Samurai Rabbit. That's all you need to know.
That is very funny. You go from this killer R-rated franchise, Final Destination, all these different ways people die, all these other horror movies, to Yusaki Yojimbo.
Samurai Rabbit.
Which the comic
You know,
book is very child appropriate. It's not violent or anything.
yeah, yeah, and so's the show. Like we're definitely keeping in line with that. So this isn't going to be like a David Fincher does, Samurai Rabbits. We're being, it's very much in the tone of the comic book. Like it's fun, but there's like it's got heart to it and humor. But yeah, I'm really having a blast working on it. And yeah, it's really cool. So that kind of turned into animation happened right as the pandemic hit. So I was working on that, and then obviously doing a lot of post production to get Don't Look Back ready to be released on the 16th. So, and then I produced a movie called The Call that stars Lin Shaye and Tobin Bell, and it was directed by the director who did my previous film, The Final Wish, and yeah, that opened this weekend at Drive-In. So it's doing well, and it's getting some good reviews. So it's I love Halloween month anyway. Like it's my favorite month of the year because I can watch all kinds of horror stuff and be like, it's homework, or screw it, I don't have to give you an excuse. I just love watching horror. So it's Halloween month, and everybody else is watching it too.
The drive-ins have definitely been a great boon for the film industry, and what better film to see at a drive-in than a horror movie? And it's been great that they've been able to show a lot of independent horror movies at drive-ins. I think The Wretched cleaned up extremely well. It was at the drive-in for like 8 weeks all over the country.
Yeah, I think that was before people got wise to the drive-ins, and the studios are now like putting like Hocus Pocus and other old classics in the theaters. But those, I mean, I really enjoyed The Wretched. So, my hat's off to any indie filmmaker who makes it. But it's always extra nice when they do something that is really solid. So, but those guys hit the jackpot with The Wretched. So, hats off to them. That was a good movie, though. But I'm glad they got the theatrical exposure because I think they're really talented. I saw the New Mutants at the drive-in. That was the first movie I went to see at the drive-in. Kind of thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. I mean, it's like the last whimpering effort of this, X-Men franchise that Disney bought. They're going to reboot the whole thing. It's going to be on Disney Plus at some point, because all the X-Men movies are on Disney Plus now. Disney owns the X-Men lock, stock, and barrel. They own the film. They own everything. And they finally have it back. They want to reboot it. Everyone's like, oh, maybe they'll carry it over. The only thing they're going to carry over is Deadpool.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Reynolds, he's got a stake in that. So
Yeah.
and everyone wants to see Deadpool, like make a fun cameo somewhere, like Stan Lee would, maybe impersonating Stan Lee in some way.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with it. But yeah, it was because I love New Mutants, and I was like, I know the reviews are bad, but it's got to be better than the reviews. And then I was like, well, it's better than the reviews, but wow, I just thought they made some major creative missteps with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty hard to screw up a X-Men movie. But
Are you gonna work on the
it can
new?
be done.
Are you gonna work on the new Final Destination?
I'm not working on it. I mean, I'm stay in touch with Craig Perry, the producer on it, who's I consider him the godfather of the brand, like the franchise. Like he just tries to really make sure they stay on track and films are quality, and he's an amazing producer. So I kind of, I know what's going on with it and things like that. But, for me, I love the franchise so much. I just think, what I would like to do is like kind of take it in a different direction at some point, because we set up the whole thing that Death has a design. And my thing is like Death can have many designs, to get people, and we haven't explored anything but the Rube Goldberg angle. And I know that that's what's made it really universal and has been really part of its success. But there's a part of me that would like to kind of come at it at a different angle, and say like Death has a new design and come up with a different way into the franchise. But of course, it's successful, so they don't want to mess with that.
Right.
So God forbid I come in and do like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and then everybody hates it when it comes out, but then years later they're like, wow, this actually isn't a bad movie. It should have, yeah, so, um, but I've enjoyed just seeing how it's grown with other people. Like, again, I love it. I'm so appreciative of it and the fans, but it's not, I don't, I'm not one of those guys that's like, this is my franchise. Nobody else can work on it. Like, I really do like to see what people like. I thought the fifth one was amazing. And, you know, I don't want to milk Final Destination my whole life.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Where can people go to find out more information about Don't Look Back, and where is it going to be released?
It'll be released in drive-ins, and I should know which drive-ins those are by next week. And it'll be on all the VOD platforms like iTunes, Amazon, every place you can order movies.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Available.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for coming on.
Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna say they don't have we're gonna have a website up pretty soon, but yeah, if people just want to find me on Twitter at jeffreyareddick.com, or not .com, but at jeffreyareddick. I'll be posting updates.
Okay. Cool.
As soon as I find them out.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much for coming on the show to talk a little bit about your new film, Don't Look Back. You directed as well as written, and the Final Destination franchise, which I've been a big fan of for a very long time, since I was 20 years old.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that too. Like, I love it when people come up to me and they're like, I saw the fifth movie when I was 10. I'm like, shut up, you kid. Get out of here.
I was 20 when the first movie came out, so I'm 40 now.
Sweet. You're still younger than me, but you're making me feel old.
No. Well, I tell people, they ask, well, how long have you been doing the radio show? I'm like, 13 years? And that makes them feel old. But that's the same age as my son. So, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'll let you know on Skype when this is going to air. It's going to air in about a week or so.
Okay. I appreciate it. Let me know if you need anything else, okay?
Definitely. Thank you so much, and be safe and healthy.
Best with tomorrow.
Yes.
You too, man. You too.
Bye.